Alarm in U.S. security corridors after a chilling Pentagon report on China. The explosive document warns that Chinese combat aircraft are set to flood global defense markets, shifting air power balance across continents. At the center of the storm, 3 Chinese war machines: the 5th-generation J-35 stealth fighter, the deadly J-10C Vigorous Dragon, and the mass deployment powerhouse JF-17 Thunder. The report stated that Chinese jets are set to flood the global markets. The report says Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE are now interested clients, opening the gates for Chinese stealth jets into the Middle East. Here comes another shocker, especially for India. The Pentagon report confirms Beijing's offer of up to 40 5th-generation J-35 stealth fighters to Pakistan. This marks a decisive escalation in Sino-Pakistani defense cooperation and redefines the strategic air power equation vis-à-vis India. This, as India is currently developing its 5th-generation stealth fighter, the Advanced Medium Combat Aircraft, AMCA. It is a twin-engined, multi-role jet designed for air dominance and deep strikes, featuring advanced stealth, sensor fusion, and AI, with prototypes targeted for the late 2020s and service entry by the mid-2030s, aiming to reduce foreign dependency. It is India's most ambitious aviation project. The rollout was initially planned for 2027, with a clear roadmap leading to flight testing in 2028 and induction around 2036. The project, worth 2 lakh crore, is expected to produce over 125 fighter jets. But China, at this moment, looks unstoppable. While India is developing its 5th-generation jet, Beijing is poised to be the world's first to field 6th-generation fighters, the J-20 stealth fighter aircraft. Earlier, a Pentagon report indicates that U.S. superiority is over, and China will win hands down if a war breaks out between the 2 world superpowers. From South to West Asia, stealth today, 6th gen tomorrow. China isn't waiting for the future, it's deploying it.
A top-secret Pentagon document, and inside it, a chilling prediction of a U.S. versus China war over Taiwan. A bombshell marked overmatch brief. As the stunning report is out, Donald Trump is shocked. Xi Jinping is smiling. The question now, can the world's biggest military power survive a clash with the world's second-largest economy? The answer, buried inside a classified U.S. assessment obtained by the New York Times. The U.S. versus China conflict over Taiwan is once again back at the center of global tension. Pentagon's overmatch brief, a top-secret U.S. government document, reveals stunning details. According to the New York Times, China will hands down defeat the U.S. in the event of war. The document was reportedly prepared by the Pentagon's Office of Net Assessment. The report claims that Beijing would destroy American fighter jets and defeat its military in a possible conflict. The overmatch brief further claims China's ability to destroy American fighter jets, large ships, and satellites. It also details the U.S. military's supply chain weak points. An official told the publication that when a national security official received the classified document in 2021 during the Joe Biden administration, he became pale since he understood that every trick we had up our sleeve, the Chinese had redundancy after redundancy. The top-secret brief reveals that the Pentagon is heavily dependent on costly and vulnerable weapons, while its rivals develop cheaper and more advanced ones. According to the report, Volt Typhoon, a hacking group backed by China, has put malware into computer systems that run power networks, communication lines, and water services for American military bases. This threatens the U.S. military's ability to equip and staff if a crisis breaks out in the Pacific, and it could also possibly affect civilians. All of this comes as tensions spike across East Asia. China has vowed to crush any foreign interference over Taiwan. Japan, on edge, is preparing to deploy missiles to islands near Taiwan after a surge in Chinese military activities. This after a high-stakes aerial chess match was folded over East Asia. Russia and China launched a long-distance joint flight from the Sea of Japan towards the East China Sea, an 8-hour patrol that sent Tokyo and Seoul into full alert mode. Japan's defense minister Shinjiro Kaizeda said there was nothing routine about it, calling the coordinated flight a show of force aimed directly at Japan. Just days earlier, Japan said China's J-15 fighters repeatedly locked their targeting radar on Japanese F-15s near Okinawa, a breach Tokyo condemned as dangerous and extremely regrettable. The U.S. backed Japan, warning Beijing that such actions threatened regional stability. Hitting back, China accused Japan of staging provocations and called itself the victim, dismissing U.S. criticism and urging global powers to not be misled by Japan's narrative. Peng Quinzhen, a spokesperson for China's Taiwan Affairs Office, said, "We have a firm will, strong determination, and a strong ability to defend our national sovereignty and territorial integrity."
China has repeatedly stated its solemn position on this issue, and the facts are very clear. The Japanese side previously claimed it had not received any notification from China, but now admits it had received information from China in advance. This is self-contradictory. They are simply evading the issue. The Japanese side also refuses to explain why, after receiving prior notification, it still insisted on sending fighter jets to intrude into the area of China's military exercises, conducting close-in reconnaissance and provocations, creating a tense situation, and continuing to maliciously hype up the matter. Is the Japanese side deliberately trying to divert attention and mislead the international community? What the Japanese side should do now is to face up to the root causes of the current difficulties in China-Japan relations. They should seriously reflect on and correct their mistakes and honestly retract Prime Minister Kishida's erroneous remarks regarding Taiwan. Regarding the so-called radar illumination issue, Chinese media have already released on-site recordings and relevant details, making the facts and truth very clear. China's military exercises in the relevant sea and airspace fully comply with international law and international practice. The related operations were professional and in accordance with regulations. They were safe, restrained, and beyond reproach. It was the Japanese side that deliberately provoked and interfered first. They then spread rumors and hyped up the issue afterwards, making them the planners and instigators of this farce, who must bear full responsibility. We hope the international community can distinguish right from wrong and not be misled by the Japanese side. Japan's allies, in particular, should remain vigilant and not be swayed by Japan's narrative. Regarding the situation of the China-Russia joint patrol, the Chinese Ministry of Defense has responded. Relevant information has already been released. What we want to emphasize is that this China-Russia Joint Strategic Air Patrol is part of the annual cooperation plan, demonstrating both sides' determination and capability to jointly address regional security challenges and safeguard regional peace and stability.
Beijing considers Taiwan part of its territory. Chinese President Xi Jinping has already declared that the territory must be brought under its control by force if necessary. The U.S., on the other hand, supports Taiwan primarily through arms sales, military training, and diplomatic backing, aiming to enhance Taiwan's self-defense against China's pressure. Washington views Taiwan's status as undetermined and opposes any unilateral changes to the status quo. Recently, the U.S. Congress released a new draft of the National Defense Authorization Act, NDAA, which includes up to $1 billion in funds for Taiwan-related security cooperation in 2026. U.S. regards Taiwan as a vital economic and security partner that, if conquered by China, could precipitate an unraveling of U.S. power in the Pacific and a broader destabilization of the international order. Remember, the U.S. has been arming Taiwan since the mid-20th century, a trend which has increasingly irritated China. Meanwhile, the Taiwanese government rejects China's claim. Taiwan's President Lai Ching-te condemned Beijing's recent military maneuvers, including the harassment of Japanese aircraft by a Chinese aircraft strike group near Okinawa, warning that the actions escalate regional tensions.
Regarding the Liaoning carrier group, our headquarters is monitoring it. On December 6th, it passed through the Miyako Strait into the Western Pacific to carry out a training mission at sea. During that period, there were activities involving carrier-based aircraft taking off and landing on the ship. Our headquarters will continue to closely monitor the related military interactions between the Chinese Communist Forces and Japan, as well as any subsequent developments. Now, regarding the second question about whether there will be a joint Sword Sea military exercise targeting Taiwan in the future, our headquarters will continue to use the Joint Intelligence Mechanism to closely monitor all movements of the PLA. In addition to military developments, we will also take into account political, economic, and social trends to provide relevant early warnings and assessments. We will carefully assess the enemy's possible actions and respond appropriately.
This is highly inappropriate behavior. Our country firmly opposes it. Using violence or coercion to unilaterally change the peace and stability of the region. We also call on China to demonstrate the responsibility of a major power. Peace is priceless, and there are no winners in war. Peace must be achieved through the efforts of all parties, and China bears the same responsibility.